Okay, good evening and welcome to the August 3rd, 2022 City of Sunbury Council meeting, 7:30 p.m. Would you please join me in a moment of silent prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance? Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May I have a roll call, please?
Joe St. John.
Here.
Damon Capel.
Here.
Tim Goes.
Here.
Marie Neff.
Here.
John Grumney.
Here.
David Martin.
Here.
Cindy Cooper. Here. 7 present.
Right, and we did have a meeting on July 20th. If you've had a chance to review the minutes, would you like to make a request for approval?
All motion for approval.
We have a motion by Mrs. Cooper. Second. Second by Mr. Capel. Discussion. Roll call.
Cindy Cooper.
Yes.
Damon Capel.
Yes.
Tim Goes.
Yes.
Joe St. John.
Yes.
Marie Neff.
Yes.
John Grumney.
Yes.
David Martin.
Abstain.
6 yeas, 1 abstention.
All right, we are on to the visitor section, and I just saw Delaware County Health Commissioner Sheila Hiddleston show up. You did just walk 3 flights of stairs, so if you'd like a moment, I know I usually stand outside in the hallway and catch my breath before I walk
I
in.
ran all the way over here from Trenton, so.
We run from them too.
Huh?
I said we run from them too. That was a joke, political joke.
Sheila Hiddleston, your health commissioner. It's so very nice to see you all tonight. I don't really have a lot of stuff to report, which is kind of a good thing, I suppose. One thing we do want to let you all know is that the DKMM, to Keep Delaware County Beautiful, is having their river cleanup on August the 20th and encouraging residents who might like to sign up to do that to do so. I will send the flyer tomorrow with all the information. They're actually using Eventbrite to sign up for that, so that's kind of nice. Should have taken a minute. Other than that, there's not really a ton of things going on. We are, most of our staff is all back to their normal duties now. We are receiving another grant from the Ohio Department of Health to continue to do COVID work. So we are looking for some additional staff that will be paid for with that grant. Our numbers have started to creep up a little bit. Nowhere near where they were earlier this year, thankfully, but they are starting to creep up a little bit. So we're just kind of reminding people, talk with your physician. If you have received the vaccine and you haven't received your boosters yet, talk to your physician about whether or not they think that that's a good idea. If your pediatrician thinks it's a good idea for your little ones to get the vaccine, we do have all of those available, and our nurses are over here at the Sunbury office in order to do those. Now, we don't have a nurse there all the time, every single day, so they do need to call and get an appointment, but it is very convenient for your community. We will be closed Friday morning for a little bit because our vital statistics registrar has to go to a training and a meeting, so we will be closed for a little bit. Other than that, I really don't have a whole lot. Is there anything going on in the city that we can work on with you?
I wanted to say congratulations, and I hope I'm right. Were you nominated the chairwoman for all health commissioners in the state of Ohio?
No, that's okay. No, I was just elected to the NACHO Board of Directors, which is the National Association for City and County Health Officials. Not nacho, as some people say. You all are probably part of NACO, the National Association of Cities. And NACHO actually is a spinoff from that from many, many years ago, specifically looking at public health. And yes, I was just elected to the board for the Region 5, which I think is 5 states. Just attended my first meeting a couple of weeks ago, so I'm still learning all of those. But thank you, that's very nice. It's quite an honor to be elected by your peers for something like that. So
absolutely, congratulations.
And then while we were attending NACHO, you may have seen this on our Facebook page too. Delaware Public Health was awarded an award for innovative practices for some of the work that we did during COVID. And I think they only gave 13 of those out, and there are over 3,000 local health districts in the country. So we're pretty proud. Now, that doesn't mean that 3,000 submitted projects. So I can't say we were out of 13 out of 3,000. We're also very proud of that. And it was truly all about the partnerships that we have with all of you during COVID, our EMS folks and our fire departments that let us use their stations when it was so cold outside. But that's our community. Everybody works so well together, and we're so appreciative of that.
I think you can frame it up however you like. What I heard is top 15 out of 3,000. I think that's great.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. How, building construction, real estate, is this a bad subject?
No, it's just sad. I was telling our vendor who's actually doing our furnishings and the cubicles and stuff that they've postponed our date now till the 30th of January in 2023. And that every single solitary thing that could have gone wrong with this building has gone wrong. And certainly COVID didn't help all of that because we're just having supply issues.
Right.
If it's not a supply issue, if they finally have the supplies, the operator doesn't have enough staff to work. And so it's just kind of been one thing after another. As far as our buildings downtown, they are still for sale. In January, the board did do another appraisal because our appraisal had been done prior to COVID. It did drastically change those numbers a little bit based on what's going on in the economy right now. So we're still looking for someone who wants to purchase those 3 buildings. So if y'all know anybody who wants to purchase some beautiful downtown property in Delaware, the buildings actually, obviously, they need some work. They're very, very old buildings, and we've put lots of dollars over the years into them. Great office space. We had a buyer that we had a contract with that was going to put a hotel there, like one of those little boutique hotels. I think I might have shared that with all of you at the DAC meeting. And we signed everything, had everything all done. The lawyers had given it its blessing, and he decided not to sign. He decided that the ROI was just not going to be there for him with the number that he was able to get into there, and then with some of the parking issues. So, but I have faith that something good will happen, and we will sell those buildings eventually.
Thank you for the update. Any questions for Commissioner Hiddleston? Comments? Thank you for all you do, your staff. We know it's more than just the testing and the updates. I mean, you're in restaurants and facilities and all over the place looking out for us. We thank you.
We do have an amazing staff, and I know we don't have a regular person right now for you. We've lost several staff through COVID, and we have several positions open. So we're hoping that one of our new team that lives over on this side of the county will pick it up. But you can always call me if something comes up. And then I know you're all working very closely with Abby Trumbull on a couple of projects. So feel free to reach out to her also if there's anything that you need.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Have a good rest of
You too.
Thank you.
Are there any other visitors here this evening? All right, we're on to committee reports. Mr. Goes.
Yes, sir. Earlier this evening, we had our regular monthly parks meeting and had a few things on our agenda. We discussed the master plan. We pulled that out, talked about J.R. Smith Park, had a nice collective discussion on some future planning and what we're going to do there. We also talked about the multi-use trails, Fallen Heroes update from Mr. Hall with CT. We're still on schedule to get at least the construction started on the final phase over there across from the library. And Mr. Hall is going to do some further review on how we can get our trail down to the high school. I think that's very important. We want to have a nice walking and bike riding path to get to the high school from this area. So that'll be next on the trail agenda. Mr. Hennessy gave us an update on Source Point, and Mr. Piles gave us an update on the invasive tree removal status over at Rosecrans in the woods. He did a nice walkthrough with Mr. Noblet to identify some trees, but we're going to wait until spring when the invasive tree species bloom, so they'll be more readily identifiable. And then we'll begin the process of removing them. And Lastly, I did want to report, we did have the Weatherby, Mr. Len Weatherby, late Mr. Len Weatherby tree dedication on Sunday. That went pretty well. I think we had 20 to 25 members of the family there. And we finally got the plaque up and the tree looks great.
Yes.
That's it.
Thank you. Just on J.R. Smith Park, I received an email this week about J.R. Smith Park. There was a rumor going around that the city had sold J.R. Smith Park to a multifamily developer. And,
Is that true?
and,
We will state for the record that is unequivocally false.
correct.
There is no, to my knowledge or anybody's knowledge on staff of any
Right.
plans for the city to sell J.R. Smith Park.
That's
In
correct.
fact, just the opposite. As I just mentioned, we plan to develop it in great detail.
Yes. I really enjoyed
With public
responding to
input.
that email.
With public
I can say, this is not true.
Yeah.
Great. Thanks for the update, Tim. I know you and the Parks Commission are working very hard. I hear the dialogue, lot going on, a lot of exciting things. Great job.
I will say one other thing to the J.R. Smith Park update. That's going to come with a lot of public invitation input, town hall, at least one or two of those. And we want them to be just a big part of what what it looks like more than anybody. So they'll be greatly involved.
Thank you. Mr. Grundy.
I do not.
All right, Mr. Capper.
Yes, we had our regular scheduled services committee meeting just before this tonight, headlined by Chief Kovach from BST&G. He gave us a very thorough presentation on a proposal that they're putting together to expand fire service. So to go condense it overly into a nutshell, they want to better provide service to their coverage area. They're not meeting all of the metrics that they would like to insofar as getting from the firehouse to the various locations they're being called out to. So they are looking at the possibility of adding a second firehouse expansion station to Wilson Road and Route 37 area to help them get to the properties that are out on the western edge of their coverage area. So that's something we'll probably be hearing more about in the near future. It was more of an informative stop for him. Also, we talked briefly about Letts Avenue repairs. I think we're going to be looking for a motion and approval to approve the bid that we've had outstanding on that, just so that we can kind of get it done and get that problem off of our docket. Some of the other updates, we had brick repairs just finished up today in the 2022 street maintenance. Thanks to our contingency money, we had a couple add-on repairs get accomplished as well. That was really nice add-ons. Wastewater treatment plant has a position posted. If anybody knows anyone looking for work in wastewater. And then there's an offer out to somebody to join the streets department as well. And then finally, street sweeping will be happening the week of August 29th, basically during regular business hours.
Good deal.
That's all I've got.
All right, thank you. I don't know if you hit on it. We're going to add an additional gator for Brad's team, which is exciting for everybody. And also, what other thing?
2023 streets.
2023 Streets
Yes.
program over the next 2 months. We're really going to need to nail down our level of investment for the 2023 Streets program. I think Steve Piles said you can call him with any street issues that you have. Now, if you have recommendations on any particular streets that you feel could use special attention, we are going to use a scientific method, our pavement conditions report, as well as our robotics data that should target where we should invest in roads. But your feedback is very important. On this year's streets program, so we dipped just a little bit into the contingency. We didn't use all of it. And One thing that I'm really proud of our staff doing is the repairs on Walnut Street. There's a gentleman who's been coming in here for probably a year and a half, talking about some repairs on Walnut Street. And Steve, Wes, Brad, I think everybody rallied around it, and we did some pretty significant repairs. It's going to take some time to do the whole road, but we definitely attacked the worst parts of that street. So Steve, thanks for spearheading that. Really nice job. Mrs. Cooper.
We had a zoning meeting on July 25th. It was about Kittner Crossing. Mr. Randy Lobig with the Highland Real Estate presented. We had a full house. We hit capacity and had to turn some folks away. We had a lot of public participation. Currently, so that to familiarize yourself with the location of the land I'm talking about, it's south of the future Sunbury Parkway. It's east of Domigan and it's north of Cheshire. Currently it's zoned, there's two parcels. One parcel is currently zoned single family and the other parcel is currently zoned for multifamily apartments. And the developer is requesting a zoning change. They would like to see the section of single family homes, they would like to turn that into like 55 and over patio homes. And then the other section, they would like to see condos / townhomes. These would be owned, not rented. So lots of feedback from the public, lots of feedback from the commission. The commission's comments, very typical, right? Front yard, rear setbacks, building materials, architecture, lots of stuff. The developer seemed really receptive to everything, and they're going to go back and rework some stuff on their end, and then they think they're going to be back in October. Right?
I think
September.
Yeah.
September, because it's now August, so great. So, yeah, that's it for mine. Did you want to add anything to that?
I was just going to say, we are following up with the developer. A small group is going to meet with Randy Lobig and their engineer and their land planner, I think on Monday, if I'm not mistaken.
I've got to schedule that, but yes.
Okay, and I think we're going to meet to just hear their feedback. I think they received a lot of feedback, much of which was addressed in their presentation. And I would say the commission in general, like the product mix, there's some tweaks to the plan as there are with any, but it, overall, I think was well received.
How close is their density compare with the current zoning for the parcels that
So
they
that under the current density that is permitted, it's a little bit tricky. So there's two different zoning districts within the parcel they're in contract on. And I use round numbers. Their current plan that they're bringing forward has 250 units. Again, rough numbers. And the current zoning that they have in place would allow something like 300 units. So it's 5 units per acre on average, which may sound high if you think of like a single family Price Farms, Rolling Hills, but this is a different product mix. And they're trying to do, instead of having what's called straight zoning, they're trying to do a planned district that flows better. If you saw it on a map, it's on our land use plans. There's an orange section that is basically high density multifamily units that they are in contract on. And it's basically right south of the old cherry tanning place on 37. And you think like that amount of density, I think it's 14 units to an acre or something like that. It's about 20% of the property they're in contract on. I mean, you'd be talking like 3-4 story building right behind, where Hitachi Astemos, the fitness center is, and their little doctor center, and just doesn't seem to flow right. I think their proposal is pretty close to flowing right. We're really focused on setbacks, probably reducing the density a little bit. Giving a little bit of space between the buildings. And there's some more substantial things like creek cleanup, sewer.
Yeah, that creek area's been a problem forever.
Right, roads. that are more the big ticket items that I think we're really gonna be drilling down into.
So the developer is possibly amenable to helping clean up the creek area?
That's what their engineer said.
Yeah.
I heard him say something to that effect, yes.
Okay.
That's a whole nother discussion.
That's optimistic.
It's, and Randy Lobing, he's the developer of Highland Real Estate. That's the group that sold all of the Kroger outlots. They also were the initial developer in Jerome Township, Jerome Village. A little bit about Randy. Great update. Any other updates?
Nope, that's me.
Mr. Martin?
A week ago today, the Records Commission held a meeting. Every document that the village or the city has, it used to be a village. Every document, it's dictated by the state of Ohio, how long we have to keep that record. And so Kathy, the last time was 8 years ago, right?
We had a destruction in 2011.
In 2011, we had a meeting and we go through a long list of all these documents and we actually make sure that we have kept them as long as we're required to keep them. And then we vote to send them on to the Historical Society, who can go through them and see if there's anything they want to keep for their records. And then after they've gone through them, they get them back to us and we can actually destroy these files. But everything that we approved destroying was well beyond the time limit that they were supposed to be maintained, so. And I also wanted to say to Damon, good luck trying to find somebody who wants to work in wastewater.
That's fair. That's a good one. Thank you, Mr. Martin.
Nothing to report.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Neff. And from me, we are on to the police report. Chief Rob Howard or Deputy Chief Sean Wade?
The extra ones landed here, I think.
You guys all have copies of this in your.
I don't think that microphone.
Chief, can you check that microphone? We don't think it's on.
It says it's on.
I see a red,
It's supposed to be green.
should be green
Batteries might have gone on it.
battery. Yeah. Yeah, it's good.
Is it working now? Halfway?
It's me, it's not you, I think. You're good.
It's the best I can do with it.
Project.
Project. All right, I'll just go down through these and as we cover each one, if you got questions, we'll just do questions as we go. The cruiser update, still being told the cruiser's been ordered. However, they can't tell us when we're going to get it. We had a projected date of November. Now that's up in the air. I guess I'd just like to start planning now in case the car doesn't come in, carrying over our budget this year for 2 cars next year. That's all I have on that. We had our second meeting with the negotiations for the FOP yesterday. Covered first 15 articles. Next meeting scheduled for August 24th at 11 a.m. and there's still no resolution on that. The in-car camera system, all the equipment is in at par minus a couple antennas we need. We have a meeting set for the 9th, which is next Tuesday at 1 p.m. To go over the equipment and how it operates. And then PAR will start installing those and said we should be coming online in the middle of August like they had planned. The UTV, we had 24 hours we had to put on this machine. We're still not there yet. We assisted Morrow County with their Freedom Fest they had at the fairgrounds over the 4th of July weekend. I spoke with the mayor about taking that up, put some time on it, and let me tell you, it was really valuable to have it there. We were able to patrol parking lots where you couldn't get cruisers through. They had so many cars in there. We were able to respond to calls on the grounds with it, and with our lighting kit, we were able to use it for traffic control. So it was amazing.
Good deal.
This first update we've had on our K-9 program for a minute. Our previous K-9 handler retirement, or resigning, I should say. Then there was some issues with marijuana coming on the ballot. Our dog's trained for marijuana. Then we were going to be able to use him or not. I don't remember how many dogs they got rid of.
Substantial amount.
Yeah, there was several dogs that they took out of service because they thought marijuana was going to be passed kind of prematurely. It didn't pass, so now ACE goes back to training to be recertified the first week of September.
He is 7 or 8 years old, isn't he?
He is 5.
Oh, wow. Okay. He's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
We figure we probably have at least 2, maybe 3 more years needed.
Mm-hmm.
The calls for service there, I won't go through all them with you unless you have questions. Anything that's in bold is just, it's an increase from what we had last month.
Any major red flags you see happening with regard to the calls, bump up in calls?
Our thefts and alarms reports are up. It's probably the biggest flag that, everything else is pretty much hit and miss.
Are they homeowner, apartment thefts, residential, or is it the cars?
Everything.
Yeah.
It's just. Did the breakdown of the citations. As you can see, we got 50 more traffic stops, 17 people were cited. There was a total of 20 charges out of those, 17. So 67% of the people we stopped were still given verbal or written warnings. We impounded 1 vehicle. And just a reminder, I know everybody's aware, but Sizzle and Sound's coming up the 20th of this month, and I'm not sure. We had a couple meetings. We had a formal meeting. What was that, Kathy? Monday? Yeah, so I think we're well on the way to being as prepared for that as we can be. We're probably going to end up reaching out to outside agency for help with coverage like we did last year.
So the safety plan should be similar to last year's event?
Yes, we're trying to leave it. We had no incidents at all last year. And we are trying to leave it identical as last year, and just kind of hope it goes the same way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that went well.
Yeah, we've been very fortunate the last few things, big things we've had no incidents, so hope to keep it that way. That's all I have. Unless you have questions.
You guys are still looking into the drone program. So I think we're still working with Delaware County and seeing what their plans are.
You want to speak on that? Or?
You don't have to, if you're not prepared, you don't have to speak tonight. I just wanted council to know that some of the things that you may hear from the police are just going on the shelf. There is progress on this. They've been keeping me updated on just what's available. Some of the new equipment that's equivalent to what we had demoed from Delaware County is probably a little bit more reasonable now. Maybe they're using a different platform. But I would anticipate just over time, there's going to be new technology that they'll be updating us on and either asking us to approve or getting our feedback as to how to proceed. I wanted to provide a very high level update on the negotiations with FOP and not getting into the detail, but just where we are with that. So our police officers and our police sergeants have started the process to begin collective bargaining, and they're attempting to unionize. And so we're in the initial phases of negotiations. And when the chief said articles 1 through 15, I don't know the total number of articles, but there's a lot. I mean, this book. Yeah, and so we're really in the sections around different bargaining units, grievance process. Some of it is, I'll put it to you this way. When I saw the FOP's initial pass to us, I was a little bit shocked because it appears to make us sound like we don't work in the same building as one another or in the same community. I think it was a little bit shocking to me that our officers have elected to use the FOP to take such a strong stance, like talking to us like we're the Columbus police, you know, we're Mayor Ginther. That's what like the take on our initial pass was. So I think we've taken a very rational approach. We're trying to come up with, but we're in a situation where we represent everybody who lives in this community. We also represent every employee that works here. And there's a balance, right? You know, we can't get totally lopsided where departments and folks are out of whack. There's got to be a balance across our community. And I know we will get there. We're not there and we're not close yet. So I just wanted to get that out to this body because, you know, we skimmed over, hey, we're Articles 1 through 15. We've got a lot of wood to chop. And if we don't, it's going to cost folks one way or another, either in taxes, you know, the inability to manage, the inability to drive colleague morale, or excuse me, employee morale. It's going to draw a divide, and that's not something I will stand for. I feel very passionately about this, and I feel very passionately about representing the taxpayers, the people who drive through this town that don't live here, and about the officers and our sergeants and our police leadership. So it's a very fine balance. It's just unfamiliar territory to me because normally I'm like, hey, let's just work together and come up with a practical solution that works for everybody. We're not anywhere close yet. So that's the update.
Yeah, go ahead, Chief.
Obviously, it's gonna take a minute.
Mhm. Any major discussions yet on wages and benefits?
We're not there yet.
Okay.
I don't think we'll get there for a little while until we nail down the structure of how the relationship between the city, which it's hard for me to even say, like there's two different, you know, entities here. It's gonna take a lot of understanding between police leadership and police officers and sergeants before we're going to start talking about anything related to finances. Because some of the things right now that we're talking about in terms of organization have impact on finances. And I'm not going to go into all the details, but I'd be happy to answer questions offline. All right, thank you very much. All right, we are on to the administrator report.
Oh, thank you, Mayor. I provided my report and many of your committees have touched upon the various topics in it. The one thing I didn't hear was we did have a meeting with MS Consultants. They provided the first drafts of upgrades to the Newman building in the administrative office. And we gave them some feedback and they're going back and working on it. And other than that, I think everybody's touched upon my items. And I'll answer any questions you might have.
You're getting some resumes for the council liaison position.
We've advertised it,
Okay.
yes.
How long will that remain open? August 14th. Okay. 15th. Okay. Couple more weeks. Well, not quite.
It's council liaison and there's another,
Community
Oh, there's a
outreach.
bunch, yeah.
it's a flex.
An administrative aid, administrative assistant position that, like a lot of us, wear a few different hats, but
Have to nail down the
Where are
title.
you advertising it at?
Well, right now it's been on our website. We may open the gates and throw it on Indeed and Facebook here later this week.
So they're both full-time positions.
It is full-time, yes.
Steve, I'd say that would share, I've seen it in several places on my Facebook feeds, so people share.
Good question. Any other questions or comments for Mr. Piles? All right, we are on to the engineer's report. Mr. Hall.
Thank you, Mayor. We've touched on most of the city projects already, so everything's in my report. If you have questions, let me know. I will just provide a few updates on the private development projects. Magnolia Park, which is the single-family subdivision by the middle school. Still waiting on some comments back. That's more in an administrative approval stage. It's been approved. All plans have been approved on that particular development. We're just working through some of the issues in the development agreement, turn lane on Cheshire Road, converting that school drive to a public street, things like that. We still need to work through before that development can move forward, which is under the control of Pulte now. So it's an update on that one. Rolling Hills, Section 1, still moving forward, and they are going to be starting Section 2. That's the old Sunbury Golf Course development. Price Pond Section 1 is moving full bore. The front part of that development still remains pretty fluid with Millstone Drive, the roundabout project that we discussed already, and the golf course road reconstruction. So still working with the county and Pulte Homes to get things finalized there. We did complete our third and final approval of the golf course road reconstruction plan, so that's done. Waiting for county approval on that, and then Pulte could then proceed with the improvements to Golf Course Road on the southern portion of their responsibility, because the northern portion is going to be suspended because of the roundabout. And Eagle Creek, have been in contact with the engineer there from MS Consultants, is actually preparing that set of plans. So we do expect a preliminary plan submittal here sometime this month on that development. So quick update. Any questions on the private development projects? Thank you.
Don't hear any. Thank you, Mr. Hall. All right, we are under resolutions. We have no third or second readings. We're on to the first reading of resolution number 2022.05, a resolution ratifying acceptance of the amounts and rates determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor and declaring an emergency. Well, I believe we need to pass this tonight. We do need to pass this. Okay.
This is the beginning of the budget process that Dana is working on. Do you want to say anything else?
Yes, so as Kathy mentioned, it's the beginning of the budget process, and it was actually due to the county back in July, but there was some communication that it would be a little bit late, and that was okay. So this is basically just estimating the revenues that we expect to receive in 2023. So I was provided with a spreadsheet to start, and using the data that was used in last year's budget, looked at that, and also looked at historical data. I went back about 5 years or so in some of these lines just to get a trend picture to see where we were and where we're trending. Also spoke with emailed with the county auditor, the assistant auditor, deputy auditor, just to answer some questions for clarification. So a lot of the numbers that you'll see in front of you in the exhibit were just based on history. Some of them were just flat out guesses because I've been here for a week and a half. But the ones that I didn't really get any, I guess, solid answer or feel comfortable about, I just used a number that was used last year. So it'll be a process, and this is just the start of it. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you for explaining that. Your justification sound as anything that I would have done. Use a crystal ball, look at the trends. Great work. Thanks, Dana. Thank you, Ms. Belcher. Thank you, Dave Breen, for throwing this on here, making it look pretty. All right, I'd like to make a motion. Go ahead.
Motion to suspend the rules.
Okay, we got one by Tim Gist to suspend.
Second.
Second by Dave Martin. Discussion, roll call.
Tim Goes,
Yes.
Dave Martin,
Yes.
Cindy Cooper,
Yes.
John Grumney,
Yes.
Maureen Neff,
Yes.
Joe St. John,
Yes.
Damon Campbell,
Yes.
7 yeas.
Motion on the emergency.
Got a motion by Tim Gist.
Second.
Second by Dave Martin. Discussion, roll call.
Tim Goes,
Yes.
David Martin,
Yes.
Cindy Cooper,
Yes.
John Grumney,
Yes.
Maureen Neff,
Yes.
Joe St. John,
Yes.
Damon Campbell,
Yes.
7 yeas.
Motion to pass resolution number 2022.05.
Motion by Tim Gist on the ordinance.
And I'll second
Resolutions,
that.
resolution, excuse me. Second by
I'll
Dave
second
Martin.
the resolution.
We got a second over here about birthday man. Discussion, roll call.
Yes.
David Martin,
Yes.
Cindy Cooper,
Yes.
John Grumney,
Yes.
Maureen Neff,
Yes.
Joe St. John,
Yes,
Damon Campbell,
Yes.
7 yeas.
there's a lot of trust in that resolution passing. I just want to say thank you, council.
Yes.
Great council, the greatest. All right, we're on ordinances, third reading, ordinance number 2021.49. Still tabled, but I do want to say we made significant headway and there's a path to completion here.
Mhm.
Very optimistic. Second reading, 0. First reading, ordinance number 2022.34. An ordinance levying special assessments for the improvement of public streets and easements by constructing and installing a sanitary sewer trunk line on certain real property within the city, together with all necessary appurtenances.
Appurtenances.
Thank you. Thereto, and declaring an emergency. It's hard to read that.
You turned 40, man.
I can't see.
Get him some glasses.
Right. So we've read it. First
What does it
time.
mean?
I understand it at a high level. It's a special assessment, if I'm not mistaken. I think we have a supplemental document provided by Mr. Hennessy. And if you can make this simple, I'll give you a Coca-Cola.
Look at that cupcake.
So basically, what we're asking council to do this evening is to certify the final costs of the sewer line and to determine the amount that will be placed on the special assessments of the property owners. So the one pager that was added on the dais, that basically shows you the full cost of the trunk line. And what it does is it includes the portion of the city's upsizing of the line, and then the other two portions, which are assigned to basically the Price Ponds development and the Rolling Hills development. Those are the exact same numbers that you'll see in the ordinance itself. So again, the action tonight is to basically certify the amount that will ultimately be assessed against the properties. And then there will be some additional work we'll need to do with the county auditor to actually then get it on the tax rolls of the individual parcels. According to the drawdown schedule, we'll assess 5 properties, the Rolling Hills development subdivision this year. That's consistent with the original schedule, the original build out schedule. At this point, we don't have any finished houses, but we've got several that have a building permit. So working with the developer, we'll be able to identify the 5 necessary. So the first payment on this loan is going to occur early part of 2023.
And it's my understanding that the revenue generated from the assessment will far exceed the debt service over the period of 20 years.
Yeah, I mean,
Is that accurate?
They'll pay for the capital and they'll pay for the interest over that period of time. So yeah, the city at the end of the day should be fully funded. I mean, initially, we're going to have to do a little bit of outlay early on, but on the back end, again, we'll be recouping our expenses at that point.
And it's roughly $350 per home
Yeah, thank you.
for 20
Yeah.
years, right?
So at the end of the day, the property owner gets, it'll be a $353 and a few cents assessment annually for 20 years.
It's part of their property tax bill.
Correct.
All right. Mhm.
And does this need passed tonight?
It does. Because last year, when you approved the resolution and the ordinance, accepting the petition, establishing a necessity of, whatever the thing is, resolution of necessity, you said that by August 15th of each year, you'll make this determination. Our next council meeting is after the 15th.
Daryl, were the final cleanup changes able to be made in section 3 that Chris Restaurant checked? Okay.
Yes.
And the total amount of the assessment, if I'm reading this correctly, Mr. Hennessy, is bullet point 3, 2.984 million, well, 2,984,601. That's on par with or pretty close to what the initial budget amount was when we first started the trunk sewer plan, if I'm not mistaken. Wasn't it, Mr. Breen?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, we were just going over that today. Very consistent with the original estimates.
We're actually very pleased in the negotiations with the developer to construct all these homes on Price and Rolling Hills. Obviously, the construction of the sewer trunk line was a big issue. We had a lot of negotiations with them about how that can be accomplished. We had a target figure, a maximum figure of $525 a home. We're well under that. They're very happy. We're pleased with that too. You know, we want to be effective in what we do. We also want to be cognizant of the cost of it. This enables us to get that gravity trunk sewer well out to our boundary. And we're going to continue from there. We've got a service area that we've committed to Delaware County and an intergovernmental agreement that proceeds out to the new interchange area. And this is the next step to head that way. So an effective and pleasing result to a lot of work and negotiations and partnering with the developer as well as staff. So.
Can you explain, Mr. Hennessy, one other question? Now, what happens if the velocity of construction is slower than what we have built into this plan?
Yeah, so if the new houses aren't built as scheduled in the drawdown plan, the developer is responsible for filling the shortfall.
That's per contract, right?
For the ordinance.
The development.
Typically referred to as a takedown schedule, and
Yeah.
there's a minimum number of, they're gonna cover the shortfall if the market falls off.
Okay.
I think they're outpacing their,
They are. Well, again, they don't have any homes built, but
Right.
they are moving fast, so I would.
they're
expect-
selling something over there. I don't know what they're-
Well, they got a lot of building permits, so yeah, they're selling.
So I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules.
Motion by Mr. Dave Martin,
Second.
second by Murray Neff. Discussion. Roll call.
Dave Martin,
Yes.
Maureen Neff,
Yes.
Cindy Cooper. Yes. John Grumney,
Yes.
Joe St. John,
Yes.
Tim Goes,
Yes.
Jamie Capel,
Yes.
7 yeas.
Motion on the emergency.
Motion by Mr. Dave Martin,
Second.
second by Murray Neff on the emergency. Discussion. Roll call.
David Martin,
Yes.
Maureen Neff,
Yes.
Cindy Cooper. Yes. John Grumney,
Yes.
Joe St. John,
Yes.
Tim Goes,
Yes.
Jamie Capel.
Yes.
7 yeas.
Motion on ordinance number 2022.34.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Martin, second by Murray Neff. Discussion. Roll call.
David Martin,
Yes.
Maureen Neff,
Yes.
Cindy Cooper.
Yes.
John Grumney,
Yes.
Joe St. John,
Yes.
Tim Goes,
Yes.
Jamie Capel.
Yes.
7 yeas.
Mr. Bream, I was thinking this probably is 4 years. I was thinking about when we started discussing this.
A long time.
It's been a long time. A lot of coffee. No sleep. Good deal. All right, we're on new and unfinished business. I'm gonna start with Murray Neff.
Nothing.
All right, Mr. Martin,
Nothing new or unfinished.
happy birthday.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
55 years young, right?
That's right. You're gonna get to retirement soon, buddy.
Just had 17 to that, and you'll be right.
Thank you. Thank you for your service, by the way.
I love it.
We love
We
you.
love you.
Mrs. Cooper?
Yes, I wanted to remind everyone that on Saturday, August 13th on the square, there's going to be a back to school bash. They're going to have school supplies, cotton candy, games, stuff like that. And I also wanted to just let council know that I attended a Rotary meeting yesterday, and their guest was a lady from Cornerstone of Hope. I don't know if you've ever heard of them.
Very
Have
familiar.
you
with
heard
that.
of them?
Yeah, great cause.
Yeah, it was very, very interesting. They work with folks who have just had a family member in crisis with ODing or suicide typically, and they come in and they're all run by volunteers and grant money and donations, and they're looking for volunteers. So if you know of anyone who's been, who's lived through that tragedy, and I was talking with Chief and DC Wade on the way over here because they partner with law enforcement and first responders, and it sounds like a really great program. They come in and they help the family member, and
Yeah.
it seems really great. So if on your own time, maybe you could look up Cornerstone of Hope. It looks like a great organization.
Do you have hours for the event on the 13th?
Yes, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Thanks.
That's it.
All right, thank you. Mr. Capel.
The only thing I had, I didn't know if we could add an agenda item to get a motion on the bid approval for the Letts Avenue repairs.
That's right. Council, do you want to give an update on what this is for, or do we want to just make the motion of support? I think we have the funds in the account.
Yes.
But it's a motion of support to address the issue, I think.
With a contingency, bringing it up to 50,000.
Which would include the repair and the pavement repair as well.
This is basically to cinch up the Letts Avenue repairs we've been talking about in Services Committee for the last, couple of months. And finally, get it off of the agenda. So does anybody have questions about that?
There may be more work. I want to be clear on that. This is the needs done now, right now. We've only had 2 bids and it's been a while. We're struggling to get bids from contractors. We need to fix it. We're a rain event away from it becoming an issue again. We've been notified by residents that it's an issue. It's our obligation to do something about it.
Yes. We felt like the bid was on the high end, but at the same time, we're not getting any other bids. So we need to act. It's
Like, fair, Mr. Hall and
Yes.
Steve?
I would agree, yes.
All right, I'd like to make the motion for the Letts Avenue repair not to exceed $50,000.
second.
Second by David Capel. Discussion. Roll call.
Joe St. John.
Yes.
David Capel.
Yes.
Tim Goes.
Yes.
Marty Neff.
Yes.
John Grumney.
Yes.
Cindy Cooper.
Yes.
David Martin.
Yes.
7 yeas.
Thank you. Any other
That's all I have.
unfinished? All right, Mr. Grumman?
Nothing?
All right, Mr. Goes?
Nothing this evening.
All right. I will not be at the 8/17 meeting, Mr. Goes. You will be here, but then potentially you may miss, if we have a 3rd meeting in
Yes.
August, you would miss that one. So,
Yes, yes, and yes.
okay, great. 2 things, one serious, one not serious. First serious one, we will be discussing impact fees, I would say in the near term. We may have ordinance, first reading probably, I don't know, we're a couple meetings away. And we're gonna do the full 3 readings. We're gonna follow the entire process, allow public input, discussion, like we should. And I just wanted, it's been an outstanding issue that we don't get weekly, bi-weekly updates on. Does anybody else want to weigh in on that? Timing contingencies?
Part of the delay, I would say, is due to the 2 big recent projects, with DRK and Eagle Creek, and talking with them on how the impact fees play into that financing of those projects. And so there's been negotiations with those 2 folks. And we've talked to Tischler Bice and consulted with them on several occasions. It's been a long, arduous process, but it's been very, very informative. I think all sides are where they want to be or pretty close. And I think in the next 60 days, I would agree, we should have an ordinance on the docket.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, great news. And then on the non-serious note, just wanted you to know that Saudi Arabia is planning a $1 trillion skyscraper. It's 150 miles long. It's taller than the Empire State Building, and it has 0 carbon emissions. I just wanted you to look it up when you get a minute. And it's not a joke. All right, with that said, any other business? All right, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn. Second by Mr. Capel. Discussion?
Yes, there's cupcakes in the back for everyone to celebrate Mr. Martin's birthday.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
thank you very much. Roll call.
Joe St. John.
Yes.
Damon Capel.
Yes.
Tim Rose.
Yes.
Maureen Neff.
Yes.
John Grumney.
Yes.
Cindy Cooper.
Yes.
David Martin.
Yes.
7 yeas.
I thought it was